Hello guys and welcome. This is part two of the previous episode. Remember, in our previous session, we started reading the text up to here, this part, and we postponed the rest to this session. So we're going to just continue the text. Okay, so we are on page 21. Well, this suggested a dissociative state that can be part of sleepwalking. Parks was acquitted of all charges. In 2000, Scott Flatter was convicted of first-degree murder in the slaying of his wife, Yarmila Flatter. Flatter admitted to killing his wife, stabbing her, stashing the knife, and some bloody clothes in the back of his Volvo, then dragging her to the pool in their Phoenix home and holding her head underwater, as reported in the Los Angeles Times. But Flatter said he'd been sleepwalking when he committed these acts and had no memory of any of the events. So, this showed a dissociative state, a situation, a condition that showed kind of disorder, a state that showed an illness that can be part of sleepwalking. So this might have happened because of some sleep disorders. Parks was acquitted of all charges. So, everyone, he was found innocent. They dropped all the charges. In 2000, Scott Flatter was convicted of first-degree murder in the slaying of his wife, Yarmila Flatter. So in 2000, Scott Flatter was convicted of first-degree murder. First-degree murder means the most serious type of murder. So what happened? He slew. Remember slay? Slay means to kill someone. The past form was slew and the PP was slain, if you remember. So he slew his wife Yarmila Flatter. So he was the slayer. He committed murder. Flatter admitted to killing his wife. He confessed to killing his wife. He accepted that he had killed his wife. Stabbing her, stab means just to kill someone using something sharp, maybe a knife, a piece of metal, glass. So he stabbed her, he stabbed his wife. Stashing the knife, he hid the knife. So he used a knife to stab his wife. He hid the knife and some bloody clothes in the back of his Volvo. Volvo, everyone, is a kind of car. So he stabbed his wife, he hid the knife and some bloody clothes in the back of his car. Then, dragging her, he pulled his wife to the swimming pool at their Phoenix home. So they had a home in Phoenix. Phoenix is the capital of Arizona in America. So he just dragged her to their Phoenix home and holding her head underwater. He held her head underwater, as reported in the Los Angeles Times. So he stashed a knife and some clothes, dragged her to the swimming pool, and held her head underwater. But Flatter said he had been sleepwalking when he committed these acts. He claimed he had been sleepwalking when he committed all these crimes, when he stabbed his wife, when he held her head underwater, and had no memory of any of the events, and he couldn't remember anything. So weird. Another victim. By the way, have you noticed just all the victims are women? I wonder why. Okay, so he had no memory of any of the events. Sleep experts who testified at Flatter's trial said he had been sleep deprived and under stress at the time of the killing, and that he had a family history of sleepwalking. Flatter was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So, sleep experts, sleep professionals who testified at Flatter's trial, his trial at the court. So, testify, everyone, means to make a statement in a court of law. So, sleep experts testified, they made a statement at his trial at the court, and they said that he had been sleep deprived. He suffered from some sleep disorders, and he was under stress. He was stressed out at the time of the killing, when he killed his wife. And they testified, they claimed that he, Mr. Flatter, had a family history of sleepwalking. So it was common in his family. Flatter was sentenced to life in prison. So, was he found guilty? Sure he was. So, he was convicted. He was sentenced to life in prison. You know, a life sentence means the person spends whole their life in prison without the possibility of parole. Parole means conditional release from jail, from prison. So, he served a life sentence. He was sentenced to life in prison. In 2008, Christine Thomas was strangled to death by her husband, Brian. Wow, another woman, unbelievable. What is the world coming up to? While the British couple was vacationing in a camper in Wales. So, in 2008, Mr. Thomas Christine Thomas, Miss Thomas, was strangled to death. You know, when we strangle someone, we kill them by pressing their throat. So, she was strangled to death by her husband, Brian. So, Brian strangled her to death. While then, the British couple, so they were from Britain, the British couple was vacationing. They were on vacation in a camper. Camper, everyone, is a camper van. It is a vehicle, a car. So they were vacationing in a camper in Wales, and unfortunately, Brian, her husband, strangled her to death in Wales. Brian Thomas was charged with murder. He was found guilty. So he was charged with murder. He said he had been having an intense nightmare in which he was fighting off an intruder. So he said he had been having an intense nightmare, and a serious and extreme nightmare. Nightmare, everyone, is a frightening dream, in which means in her nightmare, he was fighting off an intruder. He was just keeping an intruder away. An intruder means someone who shouldn't be in a place, someone who is in a place that shouldn't be there. So, according to him, he was keeping an intruder away. When he awakened, when he woke up and realized he had strangled his wife. So, he had strangled his wife. So, according to him, he was fighting off an intruder. He was having a nightmare. Sleep experts said Thomas had experienced night terrors. Night terrors are a very intense and frightening type of sleep episode, which can be accompanied by screaming as well as sudden violent movement or fighting. Forensic sleep evidence led to the prosecution asking for the case to be dropped and Thomas to be found not guilty. Wow. Well, sleep experts, professionals, said Thomas had experienced night terrors. So according to sleep experts, Mr. Thomas was experiencing night terrors. Night terrors, what are night terrors? Night terrors are a very intense, severe, and frightening type of sleep episode, sleep, let's say, disorder event, which can be accompanied, which can be with, which can have screaming as well as sudden violent movement or fighting. So, sleep, night terror, everyone, can be accompanied by screaming, shouting, as well as here means and also sudden violent movement or fighting. Forensic sleep evidence resulted in to the prosecution of this guy, Thomas, asking for the case to be dropped. So they dropped all the charges and Thomas to be found not guilty. They acquitted him. He was found innocent, not guilty. Though it remains too little understood, sleep violence is a real danger. One the legal world is still just waking up to. Sleep forensic specialists are at the forefront of bridging the gap between the science of sleep violence and the legal ramifications for sleep-related crimes. Okay. Though means although it remains too little understood, although we know very little, we don't have enough information about sleep violence. Sleep violence is a real danger. Although we don't have enough information about sleep violence, it is a real danger. It is a real threat. One that means a danger that, a threat that, a problem that the legal world, the judges, the prosecutors, the investigators, the detectives, the police officers, the legal world is still just waiting. So, sleep violence is a real danger, one that, the legal world is still just waking up to. Waking up to means just starting to realize, starting to understand, starting to learn and know about. Sleep forensic specialists are at the forefront of bridging the gaps. So these professionals, these specialists are at the forefront of. Anyone, to be at the forefront or to be in, I don't know, to the forefront means we are trying to achieve or develop something new ideas. So, sleep forensic specialists have just started, they are about to bridge the gaps. Bridge the gap means to reduce and get rid of the differences, to understand. So they have just started to understand, to realize, to bridge the gap between the science of sleep violence and the legal ramification, legal related to law, ramification results, the legal results for sleep-related crimes. So we have a long way ahead. We have just started to realize and understand, to develop new ideas, to know the difference between sleep violence and sleep-related crimes. Okay, well, that's it. Now, let's proceed with the exercises, everyone. 4C. Decide if the following sentences are true, T, false, F, or not given, NG. Number 1. About 1/10 of the people suffer from sleep-induced problems. 1/10. 1/10 means 10%. Sleep-induced means sleep-related, caused with sleep. So, this is true. You may ask why. Remember, everyone, here, in this part, an estimated 10%. Okay, so parasomnias occur in an estimated 10%. So according to this, number 1 is correct. So number 2, parasomnia carries risks to the sleeper, but not the others. So it is dangerous to the sleeper, not to the other people. Well, this is false. Remember, it is dangerous to both the sleeper and the people the sleeper comes in contact with. Again, let me just here, just a minute. Yes, here. So, several parasomnias carry risks for sleep-related accidents and injury to the sleeper and to other people the sleeper comes in contact with. So, this is false, everyone. Number 3, It is impossible now to distinguish crimes committed while sleepwalking from the intentional ones. So, it is impossible to distinguish. Distinguish means to recognize and understand the difference. Distinguish means to differentiate. Differentiate. Crimes committed, crimes carried out while sleepwalking from the intentional ones. Intentional means on purpose, not accidental. Ones, everyone, means crimes. So, it is impossible to distinguish the crimes that happen intentionally and those that happen by mistake. Is it impossible? No. It is false. It is possible, but to some extent. Number 4, having no memory of the events is a sign of unintentional crime. Well, everyone, having no memory of means not remembering. Not remembering. So, no memory of the events is a sign of unintentional crime. Unintentional means by mistake, in error, not intentional, not on purpose. So it means if you commit a crime and you can't remember anything, you have no memory of the events, it means that the crime was unintentional, not given. Of course, the guys in the text, they just claimed that they had no memory of the events, but not given. Number 4, Flatter was sentenced to life imprisonment. Remember, life imprisonment, everyone, means life sentence. Yeah? Yeah, of course, the guy was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. True. Number 6, some real criminals take these studies as an excuse to get away with murders. So some criminals use the studies that forensic and sleep experts do. They use these studies as an excuse, as a reason, as an alibi, A-L-I-B-I, to get away with murder. Murder, as you remember, means killing someone. Anyone, get away with or get by with means you do something wrong, you commit a crime, you do something wrong, and you don't get punished for it. You say, get away with. She cheated and she got away with it. The teacher didn't notice. So, some criminals do that. So, according to the text, it is not given. We have no idea. So, answer the questions. 4D, answer the following questions. What is parasomnia? Okay, so again here, number 1. Okay, everyone, parasomnias are a broad category of disorders and conditions that disrupt sleep and lead to unwanted behaviors, psychological states, and experiences related to sleep. Okay. So this is the answer. Number 2, in paragraph 6, what does the writer mean by porous lines between sleeping and waking? So just a minute, I need to find, here, exactly. So, anyone, in paragraph 6, what does the writer mean by porous lines between sleeping and waking? according to the writer, sleeping and waking are so interrelated, they are so connected that it is difficult to determine whether someone is asleep or awake. So it means sleeping is kind of a complicated, complex procedure. Okay? Well, number 3. Why was Parks acquitted? Remember, acquit means to declare innocent, to find someone innocent. It is the opposite of convict. Okay, again, I need to find Mr. Parks. Okay, so here, guys, we had about Mr. Parks. Okay, well, in this part. So everyone, he had Mr. Parks. I mean, he had a long history of sleep disorders, dating back to his childhood, of complex and extended sleepwalking episodes triggered by stress. Okay. So around the time of the killings, he was under significant stress. He had a serious gambling problem. He had been fired from his job. He was facing embezzlement charges. Okay, so he underwent some sleep testing, and these testings, everyone, showed irregular brain activity during sleep, and which were consistent with some type of parasomnia, and therefore he was just acquitted. Number 4, did Scott Flatter and Kenneth Park receive the same verdict? Verdict means a decision made in a court. So, as you remember, they didn't receive the same verdict. Mr. Parks was acquitted of all charges. He was found innocent, while yet Flatter was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And number 5, what does the author mean by specialists are at the forefront of bridging the gap? Author means writer. Again, everyone, here, this part. Well, I already described it. So when he says they are at the forefront of bridging the gap, it means specialists are in a leading position in the science of sleep violence and the legal ramifications for sleep-related crimes. They are trying to fully understand it, and they are about to develop new ideas. Well, that's it, everyone. We're done with this great reading passage. Well, thank you for accompanying us, guys. Next session will continue with lesson 2.2. Well, until next